All right, next up on our list is the generic constraint. So this one's a little bit weird, and to be honest, I don't really use it that much, and I probably have no use for it that I can think of, but I'll show you what it does. Basically, you're going to need two objects just like we needed last time. So I'm going to go ahead and delete everything. I'm going to add any two objects I want. Cubes are the easiest to explain, so I'll add two cubes. Now the first cube, we're going to add a rigid body to, and we're going to set that to passive, just like before. And our second cube, we're going to go ahead and set that to active. Now, if we go ahead and press play, you can see that the one falls and the one does not, just similar to our first or second chapter. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on our second cube. We're going to collapse this. We're going to add a rigid body constraint, type generic. We're going to go ahead and press play and watch what happens, and nothing happens. And that's because we didn't set anything up yet. So let's go ahead and scroll all the way down. You'll see there's a lot of settings. Don't get overwhelmed. I'll explain it. We're going to go ahead and select our first object with the eyedropper tool, and that's going to be our passive object. And then our second object is going to be our main, or our rigid body cube with the active selection. So let's go ahead and press play, and nothing happens. Let's go back to frame 1. Now, some of the settings are pretty simple to explain. There's limits. So basically what we're doing here is we're just constraining the rotation and the location of our active object. I'm going to go ahead and switch on random colors. So this blue cube right here is limited in no way right now. But if I go ahead and check off these different boxes here, all right, these are the X, Y, and Z axes, and then I press play, notice how it can't fall any lower than we're setting it to here. So we have a lower and upper for our Z axis. I'm going to set these both to 3, -3, and +3. Let's go ahead and press play. Now this should still be able to fall, but it'll fall just a little bit more now. And it can't fall any more than that. It's completely limited to what it can do. Now, depending on where you start your cube, like if I start it up here, notice we still have this relationship line right here. If I press play, notice how it's limited, but it's limited based on where it started. So if you know that you don't want this cube to rotate or translate in any way, you have to make sure you take that into account. For example, if I give this a little bit of rotation on the X-axis, and then I press play, notice how nothing really happens, but if I go ahead and I limit everything else, I go back, and I press play, still nothing happens. That's because we're completely limited on these axes. But if I disable X and Y, we should get some sliding, just like we do now. And notice how there's no limit to how far it can slide. But if I go ahead and check off this Y axis, and I maybe choose -10 and 10, let's go ahead and see what happens here. You can see it'll still slide, but notice how it stops. So basically, we're allowing this to be physically active in our scene, but it's completely limited to where it can go and how it can rotate. Now, like I said, I don't really use this specifically, but that is how you would utilize this constraint. Again, I'm not going to experiment too much with it. I just don't think it's that important of a constraint. I think the other ones are far more important. And next up on our list is generic spring. Now that one, we're going to have a lot of fun with.